and also you'd have the privilege of listening in as well as seeing our hosts, our guests. All right. Again, you are welcome to In Conversation with Bolanle Austin Peters. Right now, the film screening is going on, and shortly after that, we will go into the conversation where most of you can also participate. Thank you very much. Wow. Right. All right. And for those of you around the world,
the wrong way.
yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes. It's okay.
I can see them. It's a bit dark.
Right. You're welcome to In Conversation with Bolanle Austin Peters. We're just going to go straight to our question. You're welcome. First of all, this is the woman of the hour, a multiple award-winning director and producer of Stars, a business entrepreneur, Bolanle Austin Peters. You're welcome to the University of Westminster and our In Conversation media series. I'm going to start with this conversation with a quote from Maya Angelou. She says, "I am grateful to be a woman. I must have done something great in another life." Does this sum up who BAP is?
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here today. Thanks to Doctor.
Yeah.
I earned it. And also the professor and the entire group for taking the time out in this cold weather. Thank you very much. You said something about being a woman. Yes, it is a fact that I'm a woman, and I'm very happy to be one. Women bring a fresh perspective or a unique perspective to things, and I think that I've never really questioned.
You mute.
Okay, people have to. Can we mute them?
Yeah.
Have to mute the sound here.
All right.
So,
Yeah, please.
I've always been more about gender equality as a lawyer, and the fact that I'm a woman, for me, religion has never been something of never been an issue in my life. And I think the most important thing is that what I do encourages other women or girls to realize that you can do anything you want to be, irrespective of what people think or the limitations people put on you based on gender. So the gender issue is based on other people's perspectives, or my perspective of how I see myself.
Good. I first heard about BAP, through our mutual friend and co-founder of GT Bank, Tayo Adelio, way back in the 90s when Terra just opened. I know you studied law, but you have a passion for the arts. What's the journey like?
So, I have a very convoluted background. I've done a lot of things. I started out as a lawyer. I worked with the United Nations. I worked with different agencies within the United Nations. I worked in an oil company as a lawyer. I also worked, I've done different things. And I think my journey into the arts started, it was just more of a self-discovery thing. I had done all of that, and it was good. I was earning well. I was doing well in my early 20s, and it was a good place to be. But I wanted to do more. I think I just wanted to enjoy. So I started asking myself, what do I really like as a person? And that took me to the things that I enjoyed the most: literature, history. And then I started writing a proposal around that. But I'd like to create a space where I can do the things that I love, a place where I can read books. I like to escape a lot, and a place where I can learn about Nigeria, because we have the French Cultural Center. We also have the British Council, the Germans had theirs. And I felt a lot of tourists coming to Nigeria always, where do they go to? So I created Terra Culture based on that mindset of your identity. Who are you, your food, your art, your culture, and that's what defined Terra. But then I looked at it from a business perspective. How do I turn arts and culture into a currency, a commodity? Remember that this is 2003. Nobody was thinking of our culture, of our music, of our arts as a commodity at that time. So I think I came ahead of my time, and my father was confused when I said that I wasn't working as a lawyer anymore. And everyone was like, what are you planning to do? And of course, typical, when people don't understand what you're doing, some people try to talk it down. They're like, oh, so you started a canteen. Wow, interesting. Oh, you left your job. Oh, you know, very cynical. And yeah, so the journey into this space was based on pure passion. I wanted to do what would make me happy. And at that time, money wasn't the objective. It was more about finding that space of happiness. And that's how I got into this.
As we know, you are a multifaceted person and a woman who wears many headgear daily. Theater, movies, you know, art space, and within that space, you run a restaurant, like you said, your exhibition center, training, etc. Let's start with theater, right? Your space, Terra, you know, culture, enabled theater practice in Lagos. Enabled theater practice in Lagos to flourish in the early 2000s, because I remember I was in place there before it was eventually built into what we have now. What inspired you? Was that what inspired you to go into theater practice? Because so many people come in there to help you give them the space to thrive and stuff. Was that what inspired you to go into theater practice?
So I'll give us a bit of a background. So when I started, the focus was on Nigerian languages. I was trying to teach young Nigerians. I'm sure, I think probably you came to that class. A couple of the students that were there now are all in their 30s. You probably came as well. And it became so big overnight. And I keep telling people that that is a business opportunity sitting right there. But I didn't plan to run a school. So I was overwhelmed. Every parent would drop off their kids to come and learn. Guess what? Not foreign languages, Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. And before we knew it, we were like 100 students every summer. I'm like, no, I can't deal with this. So that was one aspect. Then the other aspect was visual arts. We were one of the forerunners with the likes of Nigerian Gallery, UK Art Gallery, Omenka, and so many of us pushing the visual arts agenda at that time. At that time, we used to do about 22 art exhibitions annually. That consumed us, and then we started doing art auctions as well. That was very heavy, but wasn't very lucrative. But what we did was we created a platform for visual artists to practice, and the rest is history. So for over 15 years, we did that. And then we also did the bookstore, and a lot of book readings with the Chimamandas, with Bolanle Austin Peters. Everybody used to do their book readings there at Terra Culture. So one day I said, you know what, why don't we have the performing arts here? Theater at that time had more or less, gone to sleep. Yes. And I said, we have a hall. It's just lying fallow, occasionally some people use it. Let's open it up. So it was really some form of altruism that led to me participating in the theoretical space. I said, come, this space is not thriving. Let's open it up for people to use free. So I opened it up, and a couple of practitioners came in, used it for a bit, but there was no followership. Nobody used to come. So they gave up. But I don't give up. So I said, no, we'll continue. One day, people will start coming. So you can imagine this is 2004 or so. And we found about 2-3 years later, there was a gentleman called Wale Ogutoku of blessed memory.
Yeah.
Wale Ogutoku and Shegun Adefila were the two people that I think they should be this way. Were the two people that
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, if you could go around. Yeah. Okay.
So Wale Ogutoku and
And Shegun Adefila, you were saying.
were the two people that now sort of like stayed the course. So they were there, and slowly from 2 people, it became 10 people, then it became 20 people, and then it became 40 people. Sorry. So from 0 followership, we started growing and nurturing a culture of theater practitioners working from terror culture, from that small box. And then I started watching every Sunday. I would go there, I'll sit, I'll watch. Then I noticed that there were gaps. You know, for most of us who do business, it's really a problem-solving thing that turns us into entrepreneurs. So I started noticing that first, set design was not really great. I started noticing that costuming wasn't great. I started noticing that attendance was poor. And then something struck me one day. I noticed that every time there was a piece of music in theater, there'll be a high attendance. And I noticed that, maybe Nigerians just want a little bit of singing in their theater. Maybe they just don't want you to be talking down at them, just all this literature. So we had seasons of all sorts of renowned names, but they would not attract the crowd. But the minute we have a little bit of music, people will show up. So I turned to my team and I said, you know what? I think theater will thrive if we make musicals. So we didn't have people doing musicals then. So I put together a team of young men that I've seen around, just very around. Kenneth Uhoho, Ayu Ajayi, I'd seen him in a friend's house, and Batonga. He'll come back to me. So Benga Yusuf. I said, guys, come, I want to start this thing, but I'm not a director, but this is a vision. And because I do a lot of travel and I do a lot of theatrical shows, I attend a lot, I had an idea of what I wanted to do. So I had to convey that to those that I got into the space. And also there was, what's his name now? Mackin. So I brought all of them and told them the vision that I had to create, and then I talked about the story. I said, look, let's do a very basic story. Young boys coming into Lagos. That's a typical story. So that's how I came about Saro the musical. Saro the musical became the first musical that we did, but I didn't direct it. But I was going to create mind behind it. And thereafter, Saro became Saro 2, and the rest is history. So it was in me identifying that there were problems in the space that led me going into theater. So rather than complain, I looked at it and I said, there must be solutions to this problem. And that's how the story of where we are today in theater in Nigeria. So many production houses have come out of us. The last show that we had over Christmas.
We're coming to that. Okay. So we're coming to that. Yeah, but I think she deserves a round of applause. Yeah. Now, we know you've done quite a lot, from Saro the musical, Waka the musical, there is Fela and the Kalapita Queens. I'm not Morimi, I'm not counting them in order, but Morimi, then there is Death and King's Man, and then to your latest, Dear Cafe. Now, which one would you consider the most challenging of all of these things? Which one is the most challenging, or which one do you bench the most?
So, I mean, I think that's a very difficult question to ask, because every single artist, I'm sure all the directors, Rogers, every single thing that we do, you know, it's a brand new project, it's a brand new child. So they all have their own stories. So if I were to handpick out of the 9 or 10 musicals that I've done, I'll say that Saro was difficult because it was the birthing of an idea that never existed. So Saro was difficult to the extent that it was new. Artistically, Moremi, the musical, was challenging because I wanted to create something that was very surreal. I could see Chidi, he was one of the guys in Moremi, and they understood what I was trying to do. I wanted to create a world that was, this ethereal stuff like, because Moremi is about folklore, and I wanted to bring it to a modern audience. How would I do it different? So I used a lot of 3D mapping, and I used a lot of very beautiful costumes, and told the story through music. And it was so beautiful, it was so very well
colorful.
And colorful, yes. And the set design was just incredible. And that was how, so it was challenging to the extent that I needed to do something transformative.
Yeah.
Death in the King's Horseman was difficult. And I tell you why. Everybody has done Death in the King's Horseman. I'm not a trained desperate, so the expectations were a lot, the weight. Oh, is she gonna do this right? And Professor Wole Soyinka had come to me and said, BAP, I want us to direct this together. And COVID happened, and then we couldn't. And then after COVID, it wasn't available. And I said, sir, you know what, let me do it. I can do this. So you can imagine the weight. But I wanted to take people into a world. It was, for me, that was, there was a lot of mysticism that I wanted to bring to Death in the King's Horseman. And I was able to achieve that through the use of music and a lot of lighting to create a world that typically we can't see or we know exists, a spiritual realm. And that was the dimension I used for Death of the King's Horseman. That was what I wanted to do. And the challenge that I faced with Fela and the Calamity.
Tell us about that.
Fela and the Calamity is probably one of the most successful box office wise, not even probably up until Jim happened. It was so successful that we did not have space. We just kept showing it. We did 99 times.
I saw it 3 times.
Before we started exporting it outside of Nigeria. We took it to Egypt, we took it to Cairo, we took it to, trying to remember, South Africa. And the reception everywhere we went was just out of this world. And what I wanted to do with that story was to show the beauty of Nigerian women. That was my motive. I felt I wasn't the focus. The focus was this 27 beautiful girls. How do we bring their story to life? So I focused on the aesthetics, the makeup, the costume, the dance, the sexiness of the girls, because I went for just beautiful girls. And it was just so beautiful to watch. And in terms of celebrity, it's probably one of the most celebrated content that I have. And of course, because of the issues that we have in our economic space in Nigeria, I sort of like scaled back. I said this year, let's try something different. That I'm going to do a play that is going to be based on just storytelling. There's no aesthetics, no fuss. Let me see if I can hold the audience for 90 minutes. So I went for a very contemporary story. And my approach has always been that we have to have the younger generation in anything that we're doing. If we cannot attract them, then you don't have a business model that will work. So this story is about the day-to-day life, girls, boys, their story. It was it was crazy. We kept adding shows. We did not have enough. We just had to shut down because the actors were tired. And we're taking to South Africa next month. During the summer holidays.
Very much. Now, just recently, I was going to talk about only last year. You vetted the Lagos International Theatre Festival. Is it to consolidate your contribution to the theatre space in Nigeria?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the fact that all the different arms of the arts now in Nigeria have their own festivals, from food to fashion to all sorts of music festivals. Theatre, in fact, visual arts was the sort of like the poor cousin to all the other art forms before. But the minute they started having festivals, it kind of like created an ecosystem, a rallying point. So I wanted a rallying point for theatre. It's looking good. we had
People
we have
from the
corporate
US.
supporters. A lot of people believe in what we have created. That is the beauty of what we've been able to do over the past 21 years. We have people who will just follow us because they believe in what we're doing. And we had participants from Zimbabwe, from South Africa, from America. We had local Nigerian companies. Everybody was very excited that this is ours, this is our baby. Let's make it work. And the idea is that the same way fashion has become, Lagos has become a hub for fashion, for music. The theatrical space has to have that hold as well in Lagos, and that's our focus going forward.
And I think it's a good thing because I think Fashola, the former governor, said something about Dirty December attracting a lot of goodwill to Nigeria and stuff. You know, so with your Lagos Theatre Art Festival, I think it's a marvelous thing. People are already looking forward to it for this year. You know, I think it's an annual thing, right? It's going to be an annual thing.
Yes.
In conjunction with Lagos State.
Correct.
How did Lagos State come in? Was it something they came to you or you approached them?
No, I approached them, and again, because of the success of what we have done, the intention is to also extend it to other areas within Lagos, and let's see how that works.
Yeah, and you had other sports. It wasn't only in terraculture space.
We were at Global Hall,
Yeah.
we were at Museum Center, we were at the University of Lagos. The intention was actually to start at the National Arts Theatre, but for some reason it wasn't ready. It was ready, but it wasn't. They had administrative things they had going on there. So maybe next year we'll be able to show so that we can reach a lot more people on the mainland.
Which brings me to my next question. How do you think theatre has shaped the social landscape of Nigeria? What impact do you believe it has had on the life and culture of the people? And what effort are you making to get your place to the rural areas, just like in the practice of Bolanle, the traveling theatre tradition?
Oh, wow, that's a lot of questions.
I'll take it one after the other. First of all, how do you think theatre has shaped the social landscape of Nigeria?
So, I mean, you know what theatre does, right? We address very difficult issues, social, religious, political issues that you ordinarily cannot just confront people with through theatre. So we pass the message through our plays, waka, politics, etc., etc. But apart from that, what theatre has done in Lagos is as follows. So imagine this world where entertainment was solely music, what do they call those things? Music.
Music videos,
concerts.
Music concerts. Okay.
There were always music concerts. It was either that or OMB parties, or you had, it was very specific what you could find in Lagos. Now, you come to Lagos at Christmas and at Easter, there are people who pre-book. There are people who are booked now for Easter ahead. And you come into terraculture and you're like, if you shut your eyes, it could be anywhere else in the world, because all the accents are all foreign and everybody young. It's become trendy. It's become really cool. And apart from just the entertainment, you have a product now where you have families. It's very difficult to find grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren at any event in Nigeria. So what happens with our tickets is, our tickets don't go in once. It goes in groups of 20 people because they buy for everybody in the family. And it's one of those unique outings where you find middle class, upper middle class, politicians, diplomats, students, everybody that are here. So that's the entertainment and the familial bonding that it is providing that never really existed. And we should not take it for granted. It's a big deal. The second is obviously the economics of it. We're creating wealth for actors. We're creating wealth for ourselves. And we're also changing the perception of Nigeria's entertainment space as being sophisticated. Not just the backroom bars. You can also see things there. are intellectual and people can sit through and listen to conversations. Then of course, if you look at what we have been able to do in terms of skill sets, the amount of skill that we're passed on, do you know that a lot of the talent visas that artists needed to get to Europe, a lot of them came to us because they'll come and because they have a lot of material of their performance and work with us, I'm sure some of them can bear witness.
I can see them.
They were able to use what they have learned through terra culture to move abroad to sell their skill sets. So it's truly a transformative space that we're in, and there's still a lot more to be done in that space.
Yeah, it's a tripartite question. So the other part is, what impact do you believe it has had on the lives and culture of its people? And I think you've answered that. Yes. So finally, what effort are you making now? This is a deliberate question because some of us realize that your work actually confined to Terra and outside of Nigeria. So what effort are you making to get your play to the rural areas, just like in the practice of the Alari, the traveling theater tradition?
Okay, very good question. So first is, at the heart of all of this, I'm still a businesswoman, and I also understand that you must know your market. I am not in the rural areas. I don't know much about the rural areas. However, because of what we do in training young people, we expect that those that we're training will go back if they need to, they should. Still said they should
You can't do everything.
I can't do everything. Localized. People have asked me to build terra culture all over, and one thing one very wise businessman told me one day was, sometimes you want to be everything to everybody, but you end up being nothing to nobody. So we have focused on that one center, and the reason why it is survived is because I have refused 1 million times to move and have what do you call it?
Franchise, yeah.
Everybody that wants to franchise therapist, come and collect it. I don't have it. It's very hands-on. It's a lot of work. It's a public space. Every day we get traffic of thousands of people. So if I try to replicate that, the standards would fall. We would have no terra culture today. But that being said, we recognize that our content is limited to those who come to that physical space. So what we started doing is we're recording all our content, and we're going back to revisit all the past ones. So we're going to start making sure that all the music in them are all originals, so that we can put them out there now and people can watch them everywhere. Let me tell you a story. During COVID, we put out Fela and the Kalakuta Queens on social media. Within less than 24 hours, we had over 44,000. Yeah. So it's something that players would sell. Put them out there.
Now, that is one of your egg as a theater practitioner.
Oh, yeah.
That we're moving on to movies now, and I'm sure a lot of excuse me, people are watching us from all over the world, right? So we're going to move on to movies now, and I'm going to start with a quote. This is from Danny Boy. To be a filmmaker, you have to live. You have to be psychotic in your desire to do something. People always like the easy route. You have to push very hard to get something unusual, something different. Now, BAP, you have been a filmmaker. You've been a different. You make a difference as a filmmaker, and within a short time or space, you have impacted the movie industry. I mean, your body of work includes 93 days. There is Bling Legosian. There is Collision Course, Man of God, and then we have your fans here, and Fumlaye Rasamputi, and then House of God, which speaks volume, all of them. Now, we know that making movies in Nigeria, comes with a lot of challenges. Do you want to Talk to me.
Do you really want to hear?
Yes, we do.
Oh my God. Yeah, we must have some foresight. It's tough. It's tough. So maybe instead of being focusing on what everybody talks about, oh, we don't have government support, we don't have budget, we don't have. Let me tell you the realities of movie making. I'm sure a lot of us in this room have experienced it. So in Nigeria, when you make movies, first second granted, you will not have enough money to do what you want. Well, so you go ahead, sometimes you start. The things people don't talk about, some of the things I've experienced. Locations.
Yeah.
When you get to location, you've experienced things like violence. So you get a location. When we were shooting collision course, we had gotten the location scout manager to source the space. And then we're there, and then all of a sudden, all the guys, the soldiers, their wives, they come out with all sorts of instruments.
Wow.
And they surrounded us and said, "You can't shoot here anymore," you know? And they were angry.
Why?
Because it is their space. And they felt violated, they felt that maybe some deal are going on for them. You don't know what happens between the location person and the guy. So you're like, okay, God, how do I get out of here? So we've had that. We've had the last movie I shot, Wire. We weren't set. We paid this guy, but for some reason, sometimes they don't know how long it will take for you to finish. And then he started getting frazzled, got so worked up. And then at some point, he started telling us that he had to go back into his apartment. We set up, we'd be shooting the whole day. We're like, dude, see, we just have a couple more shots. He says that I need my sister. So we thought, talk to him, calm him down. The next thing, this guy just gets some guys. They just wired into the space, went for my actors, so that we should get out, threw all our things out, We didn't finish that particular, we took all the shots we wanted, and we couldn't go back there. Those are real life experiences. We've been somewhere where somebody attacks, we see attack from our team members. We see a lot. Something that most people don't talk about, that bothers me a lot, is the heat. The heat on set, my goodness. When we shot in Abeokuta, oh my God.
Among the hills.
Oh my goodness, it was so hot. I can feel it.
The weather.
I still can feel that. It was so hot. And because we have to shut the windows, shut everything. Oh my God, it's just boiling. So when you experience some of this in your life, why do you keep going back, right? Or situations where, let me give you an example of the last movie, we got water to create rain.
For which movie now?
Why?
Why?
Shot a series called Why. And the team, we just decided that, they want to wet the ground first. So by the time we start putting the nozzle up and
Before you do
the water is finished. At 1 a.m.
Oh my
Where are we
God.
going to find water now? Can you imagine? What do you do? I can't all this preparation, everything was okay. But my guy decided to use water to wet the ground. Or so many things that we have to do. Sometimes your team are not just doing what you want. I've had to fire on 2 locations, set designers, and I had to take over and just, I'm going to do it. Link negotiations. I had to do that. Costumiers, even editors, it's hard. Every step, but that's not to discourage the young filmmakers. And I think the attitude that we have is that expect to have problems. That's my position. Expect to have problems. Every step, there's going to be a lot of knots. Just find a way of untying all those knots. Because what I do is I start working with the end in sight. I never start with the first step. Never. I don't approach anything with the first step. If I do that, even when they send me the schedule, and I'm like, oh my God, 170 scenes. I don't count because I'll get overwhelmed. That's my own coping. It's not just for everybody. So I just take a day at a time. Then when it's closer to like 2.5 weeks, I'll be like, how many scenes are left? then that gives me comfort that the end is in sight. But if I start from, oh my God, we have 170, I'll be overwhelmed, I'll panic. And my life has always been that perspective. I tend not to look at the problem. I look at the end and say, this problem will be resolved at some point, whether I like it or not. So rather than focus my energies on what the issues are right now, I just focus on, okay, how are we going to get to that end? So for me, the end always justifies the means. So I'm calm on set. People, I was like, we didn't know the director. They always come. I'm like, what am I shouting? What are we shouting over? I know what I need to do. Whatever problems come across my path, I tell my team, try and resolve it before you need to. But if I have to get it done, I will get it done. So that's it.
Fantastic. Now we're going to be talking movie specific now, especially Bolanle Austin Peters, the highest grossing biopic 2024. I want us to talk us through some of the experience of making the film. You talked about feeling the heat. What other things? What other challenges?
Okay. So with Fumilayo, after Bella and the Kalakuta piece on stage, I approached the family for the rights to do the movie. I think I saw Breakfast Dogs earlier. Yeah. That's one of Fumilayo's grandchildren over there. So I approached the family and they gave us the rights after the successful run of the stage play. We were hoping to get financing, but we didn't get. I was foolhardy. I loved the story so much. Julie Babala had done such a fabulous job writing it. So I decided to go ahead. It was painful because we didn't have the budget. We didn't realize how much it would cost. So I think there was some naivety. And so I went ahead. And then when we got to Abeokuta, we shot in Lagos and in Abeokuta. The first problem, for me personally, the first challenge was I was leaving my comfort zone. I'm not fussy about a lot of things, but I'm fussy about accommodation and where I stay. So, so
you sleep on the floor.
I stayed in a hotel, but it is what it is. So you learn to work a lot for your job. You really have to learn to be not very prideful and not very arrogant. I think the world of movie making, let me say this, actually is a learning thing for me. It's taught me a lot about the other side of Nigeria because we all live in a small world, so you think everybody looks like you. Movie making taught me that, my goodness, things are not easy in Nigeria. Because you go into other people's homes, you go into other people's worlds, you move across from wherever you're staying to the other side of town. You're like, my goodness, this is how people are living and surviving. So it has been a very humbling experience for me, movie making. Also, it opens up your world from corporate Nigeria into the arts and the people in that space. They're different from the people that are in the corporate space, and you have to learn to also marry them and move into that world as well. So there's a lot of learnings that movie making opens you to, and it's been all positive. I mean, mostly positive. But I think there was a question which I can't remember what else.
Yeah, in fact, this is a as well. You gave us Bolanle Austin. People were like, oh, and then you came with House of God, and you blew open the internet. Do you ever get burned out or something?
Yes, I do, of course. What Bolanle did for us though was, as much as it was painful to shoot, it taught me how to make an epic. It taught me, there was no precedence for me. I just jumped in like I do, I'm crazy like that. And when I got it, I'm like, okay, now we gotta swim, guys, because we have to swim. So we swam, I got to the end. And so when House of God came, just like this, walking the park. It was so easy to shoot. I'm telling you guys, you can't even believe the stress of Bolanle. House of God. So I always tell people that when things are painful, you need to bear it, because that's actually you're learning a lot. Every time there's pain, you're birthing. And I don't know why people always shy from pain. For me, I've embraced pain very well. I think it's something that grows. So the pain of Fumilayo led to the birth of House of God. House of God, I think the estimated shoot time was supposed to be maybe months. We're done in 4 weeks. Because we prepped everything ahead, costumes, everything was ready. Like Fulaya, there was one scene, the women's scene, the invasion of the palace.
Yeah.
We had 400 extras, costumes were 200. House of Guy prepped all costumes ahead, numbers, sizes, fitting. So all those little things make life easier for you when you're able to go through that birthing pain. The future becomes easier.
Sorry, if I may interject, was it because you had a location, a film village, and it became very easy to shoot without people coming to harass you? Was that one of the reasons why it was easy for you to shoot?
All of it, because again, I had the option then of renting a space or going again like Fulaya to go and look for a house and then doing VFX and all of that. So I said, look guys, let's just build our own space so that we're not stressed. And the difference is clear. It is clear when you have it.
Right. Again, still on Fulaya, you went to the cinemas, you earned a lot of money, highest grossing life. Yeah, that's what is attracting me. Right. So now, you made a lot of money from the cinema.
Wow.
Is that to say that the cinema culture is back to stay in Nigeria?
I think so. I think that so the streamers they came in and they did something really good for us in Nigeria. They gave us another alternative to cinema. And whilst that was going on, I think a lot more people moved towards that. But now a lot of them are also sort of like pulling down. So what is happening now is that more people are going to cinema. And I think the holiday seasons, people just want to go out. And I think that Christmas and Easter and those public holidays, cinemas work for a lot of Nigerians. So I think that yes, it is coming back. And it's a good thing because, going to cinema with Fulaya teaches you a lot. Again, you interact with the movie going audience, and then you realize that, oh my God, my movie truly will not sell because the taste of this movie is not probably what they're looking for. It teaches you what the audience, the majority, might be looking for. It teaches you how much, really the movie costs and how much you're going to make back. There's so many parts to going to movies, to cinema. And of course, you're also growing the local industry because the cinemas have to stay alive. There's a lot of money that has been invested in these spaces, and it's important that Nigerians also ensure that our industries grow. So I think it's coming back.
All right, so I think I jumped my question, but this is also very relevant since you mentioned it. We have in what ways have the digital platforms, the Netflix, Amazon, and all of that contributed to your growth as an award movie producer director? The digital platform which takes you global and all.
We set it up, it took us global. I think the advent to Nigeria was very well received. It was timely. It helped us a lot. I had just started doing movies to quite handy when they came in, and so part of my jumping process. So I jumped into directing big negotiations. I just said, okay, I want to direct a film. So I directed big negotiations, and it did very well in the cinema. And then Netflix acquired it. Then Netflix called and said, hey, madam, this your film is doing very, very well, So when they came to Nigeria, they called me and said, dude, why don't we talk? So if I hadn't done that, I guess nobody would have called me, right? So I wasn't introduced to them by anybody. It was my work that spoke before me. And Amazon did the same when they came to Nigeria. They said, okay, bring your films, but I chose Netflix simply because of the numbers. And but I have my films on both. The importance of them coming to Nigeria and not underestimated. They did a lot for us in the industry, and I'm sure that and they're still there. They're not gone, and a lot more is still coming. So long as we're growing, as long as we're improving, and so long as we make our content appeal to a larger audience internationally as well, we'll continue to grow as an industry.
Yeah, talking about international movies, you were in the US last year with some other filmmakers,
Yes,
and all. we to be expecting collaboration between Nollywood and Hollywood? Is that also opening up the space?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the whole idea is collaboration.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps saying it, the wider you cast your net, the more you get. It's important that our stories are not just for us. If they can travel, the better for us. If more people, eyeballs, can get to see our content, the better for us. And I think that's the idea of the initiative. It was an initiative by the State Department, the United States Department, and the embassy in Nigeria as well. And what they're trying to do is to bring expert filmmakers to meet with other, and it's a program I think that will continue. We're just the first to have been selected. It was fantastic. It's an eye opener. Also because some of these experiences are good for us because you're really thinking, oh, we're doing so well, and then you go and you're like,
I was following your social media page, and it's like, ooh, this is how you make this.
Yeah.
Oh, the green room and all of that.
So the infrastructure, the funding they have, the amount of support that is available is mind blowing. To think that Nigerians are doing what they do with one whatever of that percentage, you have to give it to us for sure. A lot when people, especially Nigerians that are in the diaspora, when they come and say, "Oh, it's not typical Nigerian." Nigerians are thriving, are trying to thrive in spite of the conditions under which we exist.
Word.
We have no business doing films. We have no business together. We have no business even surviving. If not that, the Nigerian spirit drives us.
Yes.
So I think some of you have to be kind as well when you speak to us. You're like, probably where you are right now. I've been an expert. You chose to stay out. Let us be. And support if you can. Just leave us alone. It's just not pleasant to hear. So we're trying.
Yeah.
In a system where there's literally very minimal support. Some governments, like the theater festival, the Lagos State University came on board, but typically in the states, it's a lot of individual efforts to get to where we are. And it's important that wherever we can support, let's support. And whenever we want to give criticism or opinions, let me constructive. So for me,
So, but then the Lagos state government, I think they just signed another deal with another company from the US about the film village.
Yes.
So, how do you see that impacting on the project industry?
I think the Lagos state government in particular is extremely supportive of the artistic space. They are doing a lot. In fact, if you see over I think the November season, the artistic season, Governor Sanwo-Olu was at almost every artistic event. And what that does is it encourages the people that are putting on the shows, and it's just like a stamp of approval and validation, like, no, you're on the right track. And what has happened with the financials over the Christmas holiday, you can tell that the number of tourists that came into Lagos, food, beverage, what you call it, accommodation, transportation, all hotels, B&Bs, Airbnbs, they're all sold out. And it's the arts that is driving, all these footsteps into Nigeria and into Lagos. So yes, the government is doing its best to create the infrastructure, security in Lagos State to ensure that things work out. And we hope that it continues.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, DAP as a movie director. Next headgear, which is very close to dear to our heart, and this is the Terra Academy. I'm going to start again with a quote from Irene Toffler, who says, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. This is very true in the context of what you're doing with Terra Academy. With Nigerian youth having trained over 24,000 youth. How did it all start? And what impact, just like I asked, what impact is this having on the creative industry?
Yes, so during COVID, there was a downtime, and I said, you know, guys, it wasn't easy for me to come into this space when I wanted to move careers, so to speak. And that why don't we just document everything that we have done and put it somewhere so other people coming after us will find it easier. So I spoke to Professor Duro, me, and a bunch of professors, Sudo, etc., and said, let's work together, let's create a curriculum. And we have practical experience because most of the things that I've learned on the job. I said, let me bring that in and you give us the theoretical. So we sat together with a bunch of lecturers and we developed the curriculum for writing, for script writing, lighting, sound, entrepreneurship, I've got it, there's one more thing, animation. And then when we finished putting this together, it wasn't easy. I mean, I always say this much, so it took a while. And then when we finished, we approached Mastercard Foundation and they said, okay, the important thing is for us to be able to reach a lot of young people. A lot of people can't afford education. A lot of them don't have money for transportation. How do we reach these young people? So we put in place, we use technology. So we said, let's bring in technology. So we developed a learning management system, and that's what we put all of our information on. We loaded it, and it's free. Mastercard funds it every year. We have offices in Ogun State, in Kano, in Lagos. We have practical, rooms like this, where we have lighting, infrastructure, and so they go and do practical lessons, and they have to pass through the theory and also the practical aspect, and we get a certificate. So we've seen a lot of testimonials coming from these people. The north, you get ladies and their lovely jobs, lighting, good light, sound. You get people who do makeup, telling us now that lighting has transformed their businesses. Because prior to that, they didn't know how to exhibit their works, pictures, everything, right? Yeah. So they'll take pictures without the proper lighting, so the product doesn't look good. Now, because they were taught this basic skill set of how to light their products, they're selling. So these are the kind of skill sets that we're passing on. When I go out, people come and say, I'm part of the Terra Academy for the Arts. Because we don't see them physically. Sometimes we think they don't exist, but it's real. And the centers where we have managers, we also have experts teaching lighting in all these various sectors. So it is.
So is there a way to follow up or see what they're doing afterwards?
So
they monitor.
Yeah, so some of them we do internships for them. We try and place them in organizations. A lot of them write to us. We have videos, testimonials of what we've done. Mastercard has discussions from time to time as well, so we see the students and they look at some of the very showcases, very success stories. That's what we call them. And we have some that are working for us who have become our staff.
Yeah.
We have some that are working for friends and institutions. So yeah, it is a school that lives. Yeah. So we're passing on this.
What is next for BAT?
Me?
Yeah. Okay, fine, because I was going to ask you my final question, which is how do you do it? You're a woman, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a boss. I mean, how do you do it?
I think it's time.
And you're pretty,
Yeah.
you're rich. I have a lot of fans in the room. How do you do it?
I don't know. I'm just And what I do is I just prioritize my time. Time is valuable.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of times, I guess, I don't know, some people it's time was for the driver of everything that I do. Every day I try to ask myself, what is going to go through having not achieved something? And I think that's what drives me. And there's some sort of like morning conversations I have also about, about animal kingdom. I was talking to my staff and Daniel told me, I said, oh, a fly needs to do days, they're lucky. I'm like, for 8 days. So 80 years, I thought it was a long time, but the older you get, you're like, wow. Yeah, we're not here forever.
Yeah, of course.
So let it count. So I make sure that every day counts.
Wow. At this juncture, I'm just going to open the conversation and allow members of the audience to ask questions if you have. We have. Hello. All right. I think. Okay.
I think if people can introduce themselves, because
Right.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Shola Adi. First of all, I want to thank BAB. A few years back, when I was compiling, when I had to select about 6 Nigerian directors, I contacted her and I got some information, and she cooperated. So thank you very much for that. My question is on acting. You are in House of God. How did you prepare for that role?
More questions?
Yeah, we take it around.
Yeah.
This side and this
Thank
side.
you very much. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, VAP. It's so lovely to see you. I'd just like to say that.
Your name first.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm shy. My name is Ronke Macaulay, known as Angel Works. I'm a documentary filmmaker. BAP has played an iconic role, not only in the creative space in Lagos and Nigeria, but in so many individuals' lives. I don't want to bore you all, but right from my children coming to your language classes, the theater productions on Sundays, just through the past 20, 30 years, you have brought so much pleasure and so much gratification to my life. Thank you so much. So to come to my question, you look like someone who is always pushing the barriers, who's always aiming for the next goal, who's always striving to achieve. Do you ever feel that you get bored? Does boredom set in? What happens when you've achieved so much? Are you always looking for the next thing? What inspires you to move on from one thing to another? And what legacy do you think that you're going to leave behind?
Okay.
Thank you.
One more before she then.
From this side.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Austin Peters. My name is Nnamdi Ugeze. I second what Mrs. Macaulay said in terms of what you've done for a lot of young people who went through terror culture growing up, learning language skills and making new friends like my brother and I were here. I'm sure people over here who might have been friends back in the day. My question is, how do you choose the stories, the things to do and the things not to do? Because I've spoken to a few people who are involved in, whether it's in the different parts of literature, in the arts, when you want to put on a production. What exactly goes into your mind to say, this is something I really want to explore further and make this into something that, when you're laying awake at night and think this is something I really want to bring to life? What's the decision process in that? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. She's just going to answer the first 3 sets of questions. Prof, can we have the mic?
All right, so in terms of acting, so I decided that I wanted to make a cameo in all my movies.
Yeah.
Just, it was deliberate actually, it was more for facial recognition. So, because I was running Terra and I was not in the public space for a long time. And people said, I was deliberate, I was very happy there. But the minute we started making movies, people said, oh, people have to know you know, because your face, your name will sell the brand. So a lot of people know my name, they don't know my face. So they said, okay, at least, sure, once or twice, any of your movies. So every time I can sure, you can tell that I don't even have a line. That one took me 2 hours, so then I come on, sit down. Yeah, so it's deliberate. It's deliberate because you know the social media thing. Yeah, and also just so that to watch something. I think I see my friend DJ Abbas over there.
Industry.
Yeah. You know, a couple of years back when we came to celebrate, in fact, when I did I do not engage with. But the value for a business such as ours is very, very important. Very, very important. And I can see the difference in me just going on social media now. You sold your product without you having to do a lot. So it's very important. Thank you. Then the second question was.
You have a good board.
Yes, my friend Mrs. McCoy, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm restless by nature. And I think your personality determines to a large extent what you become. For me, work is second nature, it's not a big deal. So that's my default mode. So I work because I enjoy working. And anytime I do something, I'm pushing like, so somebody called me 2 days ago, you're correct, said, Mama, I'm sure you're already working on the next project. That you're so restless, like, I'm sure you're already thinking, when I was watching for the night, all I was watching was my phone. This was not right. You could have done better. Because I'm always thinking, I'm watching other people's works, especially people that are not Nigerian. Like you said, how they doing it like this? Why is my dog looking like this? I'm always trying to challenge myself to be better at whatever it is that I do. So for me, yesterday is gone. It's tomorrow that I'm looking at. And I'm pushing for tomorrow. So the last one was how do I choose the stories?
Yeah.
So the way I choose stories, 99% of the stories that I've done have been stories that came from me. So I'm a form of social critic. I know what I enjoy most is history. So I look at I watch a lot when I'm in space. If I start describing, I always have this follow look. I'm thinking, I'm like, half the time, what even see? I'm looking at the shenanigans and the charade, all the drama that's going on. So, man of God, was me just watching our religious players and the artists. That was what it was, right? Big negotiations was me, friends, and what we get up to, really. And the history was a historical thing, right? Wire, they gave me just looking at what is the story? What is that? What's the story, right? So if lots of person don't give me, I don't do it. So I get a lot of scripts. Now, 93 days didn't come from me. It came from Steve Lucas and George Olapunmi. And they came to me and said, we know you can produce this for us. So when I looked at the script, I said, oh my goodness, this is a beautiful story. You must tell it. So most times, if I'm not excited, so I think my litmus test is, I pick a script, if I drop it, I'm not going to do it. You know, or when I'm struggling, and when I cannot visually see what they're trying to say, I don't do it. For me, that's how I work.
All right, another set of questions. Here, we're just going to take like that, right? Right. Introduce yourself, sir.
That resonates. I saw your production about 10 years ago. This is an artist to artist. And 10 years ago, something had been breaking my heart, which is there's a thing called.
Sorry, sir, could you speak louder because there are people listening?
Yeah. Something used to break my heart, which is it's like an inheritance. I felt that we were losing the next generation, that they were doing it all by themselves. And when I look at your work and when I saw it, there was no sense of inheritance. There was no sense of X came before me, X, Y came before me, and I'm just a continuation. There was no sense of that. And I know when I was 18, I went to Bari with Shorinka and with Gwiki. I just feel I am their child. Nobody can do anything about it. And we lost the ability to hand that off. So, and I know in years ago, I was thinking, nobody knows me, I can't play this role for you, or it will look arrogant. And then he mentioned Shorinka, and I thought, he's got to see the issue. So I think what he was trying to do by saying, we'll work together on it, he was trying to give you that inheritance. And unfortunately, it didn't finish, which explains the problem I had. I said, you've got half an inheritance. How can you get half an inheritance? And that explains it. But if you can see that that's quite an important thing, it was such a break, because it's at an artist level that we can give you that, and we fail to do that. So it's not because you're successful. You can see, almost nobody knows him. He's a best poet in Africa. But, so, do you understand the importance of culture mystically? It controls culture. It is much more important than money. And having that sense that you are the heart of your culture as an artist, and realizing how important it doesn't care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah, I'm coming. I see you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bolanle Peters. So I have a question, two parts. The first part is you're talking about the fact that you can't do the productions in the village. So my first question is there any reasons why your actors or actresses cannot perform in local theatres? That's the first question. The second question is, do you intend to build your own studio for future movies by any chance?
Okay. All right. Let's go over here.
Hi, I'm Angelina Silva. I'm 14. I'm still a student in secondary school. And I was wondering what you do for Black women and other women in spaces like the film industry and TV and theatre, because it's a very male-dominated space and sometimes it's really hard to get into these careers. So I was wondering what support you do for like young Black women and other people in the community.
Good question.
And then I'll come down. I see. Oh, right. I'm coming to you.
My question was actually about the film village, and I guess it's related to your question about the studio. So I think a big issue with the Nigerian art scene is, like you said, is funding, and we have nuggets compared to our European and American counterparts. In your construction of the film village, and even with like charging for use of the Terra, like the hall,
The theater.
the theater, thank you. Do you see people struggling with that, with affording the film village, with affording to hire theater for their own productions? And what do you think the uptake in theater will improve that, or do we still have a way to go?
Brilliant. I got that. Now she's gonna answer all of this, and then we'll take another one. You still remember about the inheritance?
Yes, he said, yes, we spoke about inheritance, and Prof and showing care, etc. So, like I told you earlier, I'm very close to Professor Shoyinka, and he's been a mentor He was always one of those from day one when we started Chelcom, he was always there with us and always encouraging. And he'll be at every single thing that we have there. And like you said, I think that was his own way of saying, you know what, I'm bringing you in as ours. But even though that particular production didn't happen, the last time CNN was there to visit me, he came to sit with me there. He was with me and sat that with us. So I think I have that kind of godfather relationship. And I think that in terms of passing on from me to the younger generation, there are a lot of young people that are birthed in this space. In fact, they call me Mama.
Yes, so.
Yes, Mama. A lot of us did not really know how to go about a lot of things. And over the course of time, just coming to Terraculture became a home, a hub, and a learning space for so many people. And in the last 21 years, a lot of careers have been birthed, a lot of lives have been changed. The numbers are quite significant, but it's not for me to say those numbers. But it's something that we keep working at. And I'm not the only one. There are a lot of people doing the same thing in their own ways, in different fields of the arts. And we'll continue to do our best. And the Terra Academy for the Arts is exactly that as well. The people coming after us can have something to refer to, as opposed to when we were struggling for things or people stuff. The questions
taking your show to local theater and
building a studio.
Yes. So taking our shows across Nigeria, I think I explained earlier that it's very difficult for us personally. I can't fulfill the demands that are out there now. That's clear. So it's important that other people do their bit as well. Otherwise, I will burn out. And also, at the end of the day, I'll lose my own essence. There are a lot of local production houses in different states in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, they probably just don't have the visibility and the marketing power that we have. So we'll continue to encourage and please get better. Film production, film villages. There's quite a number of people that are building that now. Like he alluded to, Lagos State government is involved in one project. I have my space, which in my opinion was just for a house of God, quite handy. I'm not like going to be doing anything apart from some filming another end. There are other filmmakers that also have Brian Chatter has a beautiful space. In Village also has. So there are people who are thinking their own financial capabilities. But we need a lot more. Like I told you that truth, it was an eye opener. What we have is
and the young lady's question.
Oh, Black women, yes. Yeah. So, we don't have, so I'm just going to be very honest. In Nigeria, we don't have race or color issues.
Yeah.
So everybody I'm training is Black. Yeah. So I don't think that really helps. Because honestly, all the children that come through our doors, 99.9% are all Nigerians. And we've been training for so long, and a lot of these kids have acquired the skill sets through us. The Mastercard Foundation initiative that we have, we focus 70% on women to pass on certain skill sets that we recognize are lacking in women, which are the technical skills. If you look at Nigeria today, there are more women in sort of like the leadership positions in the art space, from producers to directors, the women that are handling the phone at that level. Actors, phenomenal actors. So the space that we're focusing now, which is delivered, is the technical skills. So we're looking at lighting, sound, and we're giving more opportunities in that space. So I believe that.
Yeah, and her question.
So, how do you see people's access to funding changing? Is it changing
access to funding in this.
Yeah, people being able to afford like a film village, renting the theater space.
Oh,
No,
yes,
no, no.
right.
It's not changing like that. I mean, things are difficult, like I said, in Nigeria. So again, it's still sort of like, it's still a crop of people that are privileged to do the things that they do. I think that what government needs to do, a lot more philanthropists actually, they need to come in and support those who don't have the wherewithal to do what a lot of us are doing right now, because it's not a lack of talent, and it's not that I am special or those of us that you see on Netflix are special. It's just grace and the opportunity and the privilege that we have above those who have the talent but don't have the finances to get themselves there.
Well, I can I just ask a quick question?
Yes.
I'm a relatively time.
Oh, thank you,
So can I get the mic too, because there are people online.
I just quickly want to ask you, what's the situation with Netflix? Because we hear all these things about Netflix moving in and moving out. What is the truth about Netflix's presence in our country?
All right, a quick one. Thank you.
It's just a quick follow-up. My name is Obi Nkaeso, and how do I introduce myself? I'm a professor at the KLF University in Nigeria, and my question is actually a follow-up on the case of Netflix. You did say that when you're talking about the streaming services and what they brought in, you said they've done a lot. I'd be very, very glad if you could break this down a little bit more to say the kinds of things that they have actually brought in. How, in specific terms, have they helped? Thank you.
We have questions. They're not coming to this side. No, they're not. They've abandoned us.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Burns, and firstly, I'd like to say, Bolanle, that working with you was a really different experience from working with other Nollywood directors. I say that because you really try to educate and teach your actors, both in terms of saying exactly what you get right and exactly what you're doing wrong. And so I really felt after working with you, I came out a better actor. And it was so much more than just pumping out scenes and the commercial sides. It really was about improving your actors. So I will say thank you, and also just ask you, is educating your actors something you're consciously doing when you're on set? You mentioned educating as part of your academy. Is that something you're doing as well, consciously on set? Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question.
This side.
Oh, this side. Well, yeah, let's quickly go, with him, yes. And then we'll come back.
All right.
I need to remember the question.
So, Bolanle Twalo. My name is Lookman Sanusi. Done very well. You entertained us with your productions, and kudos to you. My question is very simple. Within the socio-cultural context, social issues we have in Nigeria, and bad economy, blah, blah, which storylines do you think appeals more to the international audience? Is it more the epic ones, or something that's got more a corporate, sophisticated feel? Which ones sort of appeal more to the international audience, and which ones do you think puts Nigeria in the limelight? And where do you think our younger generation should tap into to propel the new industry forward? Thank you very much.
All right, so bring back the mic so that she can respond, and then we go on to this side so that we're not accused of appetite.
Thank you. Right. So Netflix is still in Nigeria, also Amazon. I think what happened was they decided to stop originals. So originals means that they're keeping the money to the content. It didn't exist prior to 2018 or so. It was a new addition, and they decided to stop doing that. So they're still in Nigeria, they're still going to buy our content, they're still streaming all our content. So nothing has really changed. It was just a very small percentage of producers and directors that were commissioned with originals anyways. So in reality, the majority of the industry were not people that were getting originals, you know. So that's what happened. They changed the strategy for reasons known to them, and things really haven't changed that much. We continue to churn out and produce our own movies.
Well, I heard they ran out of money, but they have financial.
Netflix is telling me a lot more than McDonald's. All right, the next question.
I think it's the same with that question, yeah.
And then, right.
I think she's I need to speak to you because I need to do my documentary on my play that you were doing. So I need to speak to you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
When Netflix and Amazon came, first is the globalization of our content. They pushed hard for our content to be on every on their platform. So basically, you see, my content was seen worldwide, right? So that gives us that opportunity for us to be able to showcase our stories internationally. And I think for me, that's probably the most important thing. Apart from that, they supported local actors of production houses. Yeah. I find the content was a big deal. So we changed the look and feel of content to an extent, and definitely about. So the rule should not be
yes, I don't know if that
obviously to do something to influence and impact the space in the short time that they were commissioned. Yes, and it's still there. Both Amazon and Netflix are still in Nigeria.
All right, and I think another question.
Oh. Sorry, I keep writing.
Sorry, can you?
What kind of movie appeals?
Yeah.
So, I think that's a talk. So in the past, I think I did only come there, and then drama came, and people were watching drama also. And then also, you had the beautiful film, the Black Book film, was number one globally, right? And then some people did ethics and people watch it as well. So the point is, I think honestly, there's only one language that sells excellence. Do a good movie, people watch.
Yeah. So
we asked if she's consciously educating her actors.
Oh, yes. So hi, so he was on the last one, but I just shot wire. Actors, please give it up for. I think it was fantastic. So why am I saying, do I educate? Yes. It's theater that got me there. Wow. So, if you're going on stage, you don't have a second chance. Everything you do has to be believable. Unlike movies where you can cut, you can edit, you can superimpose, you can do all sorts of things. For theater, it's just what you do as a shot at that point in time. So the first thing I do with actors is after their lines, I take them aside into a room and I ask them, okay, so who are you? What's your personality? How do you describe yourself? Once an actor gets an understanding of who he or she is, what they're about, what their motivations are, and their intentions. And every time an actor speaks, what I ask is this, as a director, I ask you, before you speak, ask yourself, why am I saying what I'm saying? It will give you the right emotions. So if any time I see an actor, especially the ones on screen, I will say, please come. Let's understand why you're in this story. Because also, the way we shoot is out of sequence. So I always have to let an actor understand where he's situated at that point in time I always take you back to what you experienced, the last scene before the one that we're shooting. But sometimes you might be shooting the end before the beginning. So I have to let you know what I always backtrack to about 1 or 2 scenes before and say, what were you feeling here that led to here and that led to this point? Is that emotion that I carry through? So if an actor doesn't understand, if it is not put into remembrance of that, then it gives you the wrong emotion. That's why.
Wow. Thank you. So we're going. 3 people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Adnika Ojo, and thank you so much for what you are doing and the legacy that you're going to be leaving for sure. I had the privilege of taking my play In Hiding to Lagos in 2024 in November. Chidi was in the play, and they also earned me the Best Playwright Award at the Black British Theatre Awards in 2023. The reason why I say that is that since returning from Lagos, I've been extremely uncomfortable in my profession as a lawyer, doing a very good job there, but also in the sense that as now pivoting into film now as a screenwriter, what do I do? And for others in the diaspora, what do we do to make sure that our films that can travel, how do we do it well? What are the best practices that you would advise us or guide us into creating a good film? Thank you.
Next.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mama. I have to stand when I'm talking to my mother. I really want to say first of all, thank you for all that you've done for us Christians back in Lagos State and everywhere in the world. I have 2 questions to ask. And one of them is, you mentioned in 2020, you had to show some of the works that you have done online. And I know that here in London, the musicals, they do not ever show the full version of it. Instead, they show us like cuts of it to advertise so that people can come to the theater.
Yes.
Now, do you show this videos? Do you think it's not gonna cut short people coming to the theater to have the experience? That's one. Then the second of it is if you keep showing them, are you going to sell them online? And if you are, because I would love to watch some of them, because I hardly watch some, so can we buy it? When do we expect it to be online for us to buy? And then my second question is, around last year or last 2 years, it was on the news that the Lagos State government built some theaters in Lagos, and and then you spearheaded that particular project. The Lagos International Festival that happened last year, I don't know if some of the plays happen in these theaters, or are they still being worked on and or just locked up?
Okay.
Thank you. Very good.
One more question. At the back, that gentleman in glasses, yes. No, in glasses. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Delia Jakai. Bolanle, thank you so much for all that you've done for the art and film spaces in Nigeria. But I want to talk about, ask questions, 3 questions. I hope you don't mind. Yeah, I'll do it in brief. First is, in every film industry, we have monkeys. Yes, monkeys, we have monkeys. And the monkey that I'm addressing here is the monkey of piracy. Pirates, yeah. Last year, I sent you a message. I let you know that your film, Olufublayo, was shown on, running on YouTube. Can you tell us what you did to address that, and what is the industry, the collective, what is the collective doing to address the issue of piracy? And the second question I want to ask is, with regards to Netflix in Nigeria, some of us in the diaspora, we subscribe to Netflix because of Nollywood. Now Netflix is their recent practice is geo-blocking Hollywood movies. For those of us in the UK, we can't watch Nigerian films. So I don't know whether you are having this discussion with Netflix to address it. But some of us are threatening that if this continues, we are going to stop. Then the third one is briefly, I expected your movie Bolanle to be submitted for the Oscar, and that didn't happen. So can you tell us about that?
Bring back the mic so that, and then we'll go for the last batch of questions because we need to interact.
Right, so I think you asked about the type of films that filmmakers should be making. So you asked.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel that again, honestly, it all boils down to what you are inspired. It all boils down to what you are interested in, and I think that if you want to have a commercial, a film that is well watched, it's important to diversify a little bit. You can collaborate with other people, you know, and think in other worlds. It might go further than just sticking to your own limited space. I think that might be something that you might want to explore. I hope that answers that. Yeah. And Chidi?
Yes, Mama.
The theaters. So the theaters have been, I think, they sublet them to other individuals who are running them. But the intention is that for the next theater festival, we'll be showing plays in all of those. We've had conversations with the Lagos State government. And also for the stage plays that we put online, when we do put them online, we will definitely put some payment platform there as well, so that it's just not for free. And then the monkeys in the industry. The piracy. You know, the day Himalaya dropped, I think within God knows how many hours, it was already pirated. I saw it, yes. They were like, so we got a couple of people, their job was just to keep reporting it to D2. You know, it was just, I did it literally, boom, pop up another one. And so we got about 4 guys that were their job to keep reporting, they'll take it down, keep reporting, they'll take it down. I don't know, there's some form of, I don't know what happens once we get on those platforms. People can easily download them.
No, some of us can access it.
I don't know why.
I can access it.
Yeah, so you know, so we try our best, but I really don't have the answer to that. And also, in terms of piracy, I know that government has been very supportive in Nigeria. You know, they have a task force, they have people who look at all these issues. A lot of filmmakers report it when it happens. Some people, you know, they personally fight back, you know what I mean. But it's still something. If it's include the platforms, Amazon, what can we do? It's one of the things of the profession. So we're learning to do our best to ensure that the leakage is stopped by having DCPs and all sorts of other protected softwares, etc., on the content before it is released. And then finally, the Oscars. We did submit to Lion for the Oscars, but it didn't meet the cut. I think language or something, or maybe just the Oscar committee didn't like it enough, you know, it's a prerogative. So that's the Nigerian logo. So they have to decide. I think it was
Mommy, what? No, that was
something went and that was that's the
Okay, there's a question online, right? All right. Sorry, Bob, this is for you online. Don't have my glasses, but I can squint. All right, it says, I have a question. Can you extract a promise from the lady I call Yeye of the stage and screen that we will have a play run at the Terra for 3 months non-stop at Terra, like it's done on Broadway? A play like Dear Cafe should have been allowed to run for 3 months or longer.
Oh wow, thank you so much. Truth is, the industry in Nigeria cannot sustain 3 months right now.
Yep.
Impossible.
Yeah.
The people that sustain theater are the tourists and the holidaymakers. Whenever we're not in holiday season, there is a significant drop in patronage. So we only show when people are on vacation. And the hustle in Nigeria is too much. People are busy Monday to Friday. They work. So sorry to disappoint you. That's not going to happen until Nigeria becomes a tourist destination. Then all year round, then we will have this issue. Otherwise, it will be financial hole.
Could we have the month or the dates for the?
Yes, it's on our website.
For the date, for the international festival.
On our website, November, I think it's November 15.
I'm going to take the last batch of. There's another one. Okay, we have to allow people online to have their day too. It says, my question is about partnership and collaboration to enable get our stories to be seen more globally. All right, so it's about partnership and collaboration so that our stories can be seen globally. Now I'm going to take some questions. I'm coming to you. So you can read about
You should be able to go out to
Learn from monkeys to gorillas. So, pirates, but this Christmas, I just mentioned that since we need the tourist season too. And this Christmas, almost everybody in the family got a movie, and the movies were all at the cinema. And then there was this whole wahala about my film is being dropped, another person and stuff, and AY went crazy and all that stuff. So, what have you experienced? With movies, using their sports,
All right. Industry.
Hi, Bolanle. I think the diaspora has missed you. You gave us a taster with Sarah and Waka. And Waka. And before then, I, as a marketer of films, basically anything Nigerian in the UK, I never thought that we had that audience for the theater. In fact, if you remember some of the conversations we had before, I was thinking small, Bolanle was thinking quite big, and then we had multiple dates at the Shore Theatre for Wakansa, and Ubine wasn't there. And I get it, I understand. But there's a phenomenon going on right now. The diaspora is now coming back home. 30 December is one of the greatest, 30 December is massive. So we have a lot of people from this side of the world and now going back to Nigeria. I don't know what your prime dates are for your theater runs at Terra Culture, but is December one of them? How do you see yourself in the art space leveraging on that new, connect between the diaspora and Nigeria? And when next are we having you back in the UK?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mama, good evening, everyone. My name is Judo Pikwado. I'm an benefactor of the South Africa Academy, I'm a production manager on Jiza, and I think we're going to try to call Judah, and it's my number 5 minutes. So just a quick one. It looks like the cinema space in Nigeria is like a bull run where everybody's trying to run their own race and less collaboration and more of a big thing. And I feel like that's one of the biggest hold of the industry that's even affecting us our global scale. How do you think that? How do you see it, and what are we doing for your own path to address that?
Thank you. And the last one before I come back to you, there's a gentleman here.
Hi everyone. Hi, Auntie Bolanle. Hi everyone. Hi, Auntie Bolanle.
Your name?
My name is Joseph. Everyone. And my question is, so you spoke about like how you perceive challenges and embracing pain and hardship, which really resonates with me, and I think is good. But how do you handle feeling like under pressure in like to perform like in relation to your past successes? How do you handle that pressure? If you get that pressure?
Yeah. So I hope you can remember all of the questions, right? And then.
Okay, so we'll do yes. Okay. So I think the first one is DJ Abbas. Oh, the gorilla, right?
Tony, it's about everyone's
cinema.
getting their film in the cinema, and some are complaining that their films are.
Yes. That is so true, you know. But I think that, like you rightly pointed out, everybody's squeezing into just one season. I have never been in that season. I've never felt that pressure. I think because the numbers are normally higher because obviously there's a lot more people with downtime at that season. So it's prime time. So I think that will continue for as long as the Christmas is, and for as long as filmmakers feel that that's the time they want to show. It's going to be something that we'll witness going on for a long time. My films have always come out typically around May, June. You know, it's not high season. You won't make that much, but you know, it's easier. It's easier, and I think it's also the big box office winners that sort of like the cinemas also put towards the Christmas season. So it works for them. Yeah. DJ Abbas.
Yeah, DJ.
So you know, we came, we saw, we conquered, and then we went back home, and then the naira to the pound became sort of really was so it wasn't easy to get sponsorship to come. You know, we weren't running long enough to stay here. So it was the support of corporates that allowed us to come. And then COVID happened. So everyone was just back to back. But we're coming.
Yeah.
I think we'll be here this year. The dirty December that you alluded to is a reality. We were part of this. It's been going on to be quite honest. It's just that this year it just became so much more bigger than what we've had in the past. So for those in Lagos, they were aware of Dear Kathy. Dear Kathy was a phenomenon. It couldn't stop. The crowd just kept coming. We had to extend up to almost the second week of January. So that is a season. That is a season that is not going to change. The attendance at Christmas is not going to change. So it's going to get bigger and bigger. So we should anticipate it and prepare for it. I think that's the only thing going forward now.
Right. I think there are two questions online that I read out. One about running longer for Dear Kathy should run for 1 month or 3 months.
Oh no, she's answered that. She's answered that.
And then there's another one about collaboration just to get our content.
So collaboration is important. Like I said earlier, I think one of the things that the American Consulate is trying to do is exactly that, to open doors for us to work with other production houses and directors and producers abroad. I think that's the idea of that. So collaboration all the way, even internally. Now to this question as well, a lot of us have to be a little bit more open to collaborations amongst ourselves. It's not very easy because you know there's so many dynamics in Nigeria, and a lot of people are protective of their own space, understandably. So it will happen eventually, but maybe not now. I don't see it happening. That we all know it in concept, but in reality, I'm not sure that it's going to. So yes, so spot on. And if we want to be honest with ourselves, I don't see this happening for a while.
Yeah. So one of the questions you missed is about geo-blocking. Netflix and somebody threatening to withdraw.
Yes. So again, it's like they're asking about the funding, etc. It's an internal decision. They must have made this. So what I do typically is I respect organizations' perspective. There must be a reason. So for a long time also, those of us that are Nigerians didn't know the number of subscriptions in Nigeria. We didn't know that Netflix had less than 300,000 subscribers. And they were spending so much in Nigeria. Was that the reason? I don't know. Also, they must have data that they must have analyzed to ask themselves, are we going to be pushing content that is not maybe watched globally? Or if it is worked globally, why would they pull it off? I don't know. It's for them to answer. So these are questions that you have to sort of like directly ask to Netflix people why they did what they did. So, but I do know one thing. As a business owner, businesses don't make decisions that hurt them. There was a reason why they did it.
Yeah, so just because I missed him, and then we are rounding up.
Some more question about pain,
Oh, Joseph. Okay, fine. Quickly, just answer. Ask your question. Then we'll take it together, and then because we bought this for your refreshment, and you have to eat it. Joseph. Okay, quickly, your question, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Adelo.
All right, please, can we maintain decorum?
Bringing in some different dimensions in African space. So what times when we have our session, we tend to basically about two factors, which is probably giving more prominence to reshaping or reshaping the narratives or telling the socio-economic realities of Nigeria on Africa in general. So so I want to know which takes the prominence from your end, without telling, reshaping the narratives or telling the socio-economic realities.
Okay, thank you. So you will take that with Daily's question. Can you remind me of your question again?
the pressure, yeah, to live up to your pressure.
Okay. To live up to
Right. So, like Joseph, you're correct. There's pressure, whether unintended or real or not or perceived. It is real. Every time, I think I alluded to this earlier, that every time you do a production, there is that, that's the last production. It's the next one now. It's like birthing a new. So every time I do something, I'm like, oh my God, we can't fail. This did so well. We have to up the ante now. The next one has to. So there is pressure. But what I tend to do is you just have to have a way of varying it and focusing on the craft and just saying to yourself, like, wherever it is you feel. I think one of the things, maybe this is one of my strengths actually, is that I'm very brutal with myself. I always ask myself questions like, could this be better? And when people are saying this is really, really good, I always go back and say to myself, I've seen things somewhere that is better. So why is this person so better than mine? I should be able to get mine done better next time. Some people would rather just be like, oh, this is really cool. Yeah, everybody's praising me. I take the opposite view. I'm always like, oh, what can I do better? So I self-critique, and that helps me a lot. I've been watching some films and I said, I'm not sure I like the camera that I use anymore. I need to start using the cameras that are best because there's a look and feel that they bring that your camera. I can stay where I am because it's more convenient for me, right? It's going to cost me more, but I've decided that I just have to make sure that it's like what is coming out of other countries. So the storytelling is tight, but the look and feel is not what I want. So therefore I have to change it. So that's it. Thank you. And then he spoke a lot about, I'm trying to understand, he says about changing narrative.
Yeah. And strengthen the socio-economic reality.
Okay, with me. I think honestly it's a balance of both, but maybe if you ask me, maybe it's just I guess it's changing narrative. It's to I'm educating. What I think my role is to educate people who don't know about us. A lot of people don't know anything about Africans. In fact, when we were at the Middleburg Film Festival, the room full of movie enthusiasts, etc. I asked, I said, how many people have watched African content in this room? We're all foreigners, we're all Americans. They've never watched a Nigerian film. So for all you care, what do they know about us? Nothing. So is that movie storytelling as an agent for change, for education? For me, that's probably the strongest role that Nollywood plays in shaping the perception and in educating people about us, our culture, our beliefs, our lifestyle. And I think that's for me the most important.
Please, I will give big applause. Room for interaction, connection, and food as well. But we will not be able to continue the film because we're really out of time. But I have someone from the Anikulako family who is going to say something to BAP. She wants to give you more money. All right, please. She is a granddaughter of Beko Ramsey. Sorry, granddaughter of Bolanle Ramsey, but the daughter of Beko Ramsey. Please, your name and because everybody's watching on the internet.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bolanle Austin. I wouldn't say I was named after my grandma. I think she named all of us Bolanle. So my older sister is Fumilayo, I'm Fumilayo, Yemi is Fumilayo. We're all Fumilayo, but I have the original. So I just want to say thank you. You know, this is my story. These are my ancestors. So it's good to be able to see from somebody else's eyes and just get a feel for it. But I'm honored to be here. Watching it was inspirational. It reminded me of who I am, of who I was born to be. When I watched it, I was going through a very difficult time. And I think it wasn't a coincidence that I was in Lagos when you had the screening. And I remember watching it and I thought to myself, Fumi, you are supposed to remember who you are. So it wasn't, so this has done a lot for me. Wow. I turned 50 a few years ago, and since then, I used to be called Fumi. Now I am Fumi. Thank you so much. I hope that the movie inspires you all as much as it inspired me. Yeah. You have not heard the end of Fumilayo. That is Fumilayo. This one,
At this juncture, I have to bring in my colleague, Professor Winston Mano, to give us say something before we go to the food. Yes. The rest of the sorry, you can go to Amazon. You see on Amazon, she's still on Amazon if you have that or yeah.
I want to.
All right, so please.
Sorry, I would like to thank our guests, Bolanle Austin Peters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
BAP.
My Nigerian name is Fendi.
Yeah.
Lookman says it's a name that is.
That ladies like, you know.
But I also want to use this opportunity to thank my brother Lookman for a very engaging conversation. And we let a lot. I think what comes through is a very deliberate and a well-rehearsed approach to filmmaking. When one of my colleagues who was here made a film about Nollywood, she made one called Just Doing It. Yeah? So there were the days of just doing it when people did it, but now it's not serendipity. Yeah? You find that people are putting formulas to it. She's also not just coming into it accidentally. She knows about the rights. It's very important when they are negotiating. When I went to Nigeria, people were talking about the mis-selling that happened, the contracts with movie magic. And they were saying, oh, we didn't know, we gave away our titles. Yes. Now we can't recover. But now you see that from those lessons, there is now a much more, assured approach. And what she is producing is also very important for future generations. It's a template that others can draw. And I think this is what we want to achieve with these conversations, to get artists, to get us to know the artists, and also to put their work into context. There's a lot that goes on, like what she hinted at, that sometimes we have misunderstandings from special audiences online. I'm not talking about this audience, but these were very understanding. Hussein Shaib, your questions were very good. So we have, I think, a good opportunity in London to have these enriching conversations, and we should continue. Like I said, in April, we are going to host Cecilia from Zimbabwe, but we also want you to recommend other speakers of the same caliber. I think we started very high, so we have to continue at that level. So please recommend, people who make that great. But I really want to thank all of you. There are many people from different backgrounds, including my brother Olu here from the Africa Center.
Yes.
Olu. We do also this event in association with Life. It's also one of our homes here in London. It's very important that we create interconnected conversations. If we want to leverage what we do, we need to find each other, we need to learn from each other. I know sometimes it's attractive to be, the lone wolves, but what she said was very, very helpful in terms of, she's like, this is what I do. Please come and, she's already working with others. She's already putting forward templates, and she's training. I think I looked somewhere. They say 65,000 people have. The Terra Center is really training people. So we need to really learn from this and I don't want to delay the drinks here. So what I'm saying is that I really appreciate it. And I appreciate my brother Lookman.
And our brothers.
And then I also appreciate the team behind this. Shuda was registering me. I'm not the PhD in our university here, but he's also the president of the PhD Student Society.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we do Africa, so it's a good thing. And we also want to appreciate Christina Seda.
Okay,
has been very useful. And they were very instrumental in designing the lovely poster that you saw, the one that attracted you. Lookman's daughters, they designed wonderful. I can go on, but there were so many people that were instrumental in making this event happen. But most of all, it's you who came, who made it happen. We really appreciate you. I know it has been a long sit down, and we want to interact. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you all. And we have to say a big thank you to before this go, like we said, there will be some lovely music and then you can have a drink. Thank you for people online. Thank you, Professor Bolanle for helping us out. And we shall invite you very, very soon. Thank you. Angel Box. Oh, I didn't know it was you.
I was with you when I came.
Yes. Hey, how are you? Yeah, your girlfriend. Let me just pause.